Hello, everyone. Good evening. You are welcome. Good evening. Welcome to Conversations with P. Mo. Hello, everyone. You are welcome. As always, let me know where you're joining in from. Let me know if you can see and hear me. It's another Thursday. It's Conversations with P. Mo. Yes, and we have a very interesting topic before us all through the month of April. My guests are they're amazing people. I'm going to be interviewing different couples every weekend, every Thursday, all through the month of April. And there's a likelihood that it would extend till May because this conversation has to happen. Hello, you're welcome. We're live on YouTube through my YouTube account, Pimo Secrets, and we're also live on Facebook on my account and also on Babes Redefined. It's a good time to share the link. It's a good time to uh, remind a friend, tag a friend, let them know that Pimo is live. Conversations with Pimo is live. Hello, you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. I know we love love. We love talking about love, and we're going to talk about it today. In fact, all through this month, you'll be tired of me. Awesome. You're all welcome. You're all welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. We are so looking forward. My guests are already in the backstage. They are waiting anxiously for me to bring them up. And we are going to do, just that in a minute. Hello, Lovette. You are welcome. Bumi, you are welcome. Please, let's share the link. Let's encourage other people to join in. I am so looking forward to it. I know it's going to be very impactful. I know it's going to be very intriguing because what we want to talk about money. We want to talk about money, we want to talk about love. So the theme for Atmosphere this year is love and money matrix. And we just want to look, into the whole love and money thing. Can love and money work together unless they agree? Can Miss Love marry Mr. Money? Can Mr. Love marry Miss Money? Can it work? Can it work? For my own few years of counseling, I'm not a marriage counselor, as it were, but of course, when I say I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm not a professional, like certified marriage counselor. But of course, over the years, I've had the opportunity to sit with people, offer counsel, and just give some sort of guidance and advice. And I noticed that the money issue is really an issue. I remember sharing my story of how we started out as a couple. This is almost 18 years ago. And sharing the story at every point in time when I get the opportunity to share it with, younger generation and younger people, I see them looking at me with awe, like, you mean you didn't have TV for 1 year plus? You mean you didn't have curtains in your house? As in, you mean, how did you? As in, I look like someone that just came out of the space. Like, I actually don't exist on this planet. Like, Pimo, how did you do it? When I tell them how we didn't have fridge and I had to warm soup, the same soup, and they're like, I remember someone saying, your father allowed you to marry him. And I've met a lot of people who have vowed and said, I will never marry a pastor. I cannot marry. They are the same people. Don't watch it. They are the ones that now end up with pastors. The same people that say they will not marry pastors. They are the ones that you now find out that they are married to pastors. So I really get that. And I've heard some people also say, and I'm talking of believers, say stuff like, I cannot marry him if he does not have money, if he does not have a house, And then there are also some who, I'm talking about the ladies now, who are from, like, a humble background, who, like, believe that they've got their own issues. So like the firstborn of 5 children, and they are the ones like trying to like make it. So they are the ones like sorting out their younger ones. So there's that thing that the guy I'm going to marry must be ready to carry my, my burden, because this is my burden. He must be ready to send my younger brother to school. So there's already that specs in their mind, even in searching for who they want to spend the rest of their life with. So the question here is money a major factor? Should we consider money in making a life choice, a life decision, someone you're going to spend the rest of your life with? Is money very important? Is it a cogent reason? So my guest today will help us, because the questions will be coming left, right, and center. And I'm so looking forward to having this conversation with them, and I know it is going to be very, very interesting. And I also want to encourage you to open your heart. Another thing also that I've seen in counseling people, is that oftentimes you find sometimes women or men harboring some sort of bitterness, resentment, unfulfilled expectations that has kind of like, grown in them and not been addressed. And it has become so cancerous in their heart towards their spouse, because, oh, he promised me this, oh, he promised me that. But here we are, 5 years down the line, we're still struggling. 10 years down the line, we're still struggling. Of course, I know that there are also some, not about just the man alone, even some women also in marriages that are just laid back. And, they are just downright lazy. So we get that too as well. And also the whole idea and mindset, I don't know if this is with African men, who just believe that a woman is another trophy that they'll just use money to buy. Is it not money you want? Let me just give you money. And of course, social media is not helping with everything just throwing at you from left, right, center. And it just seems like as a young guy, if you don't have money, there's no show for you. Okay, that's just a teaser. And I want to believe that you're already enjoying me and you can't wait for me to bring up our guest. I'm just going to read through their profile. Like I said, I'm going to be interviewing couples all Thursdays in April, and they are the ones gracing this very first conversation with respect to this topic. I'm just going to read through their profile and I'm going to bring them right up, and we're just going to dive into it. Gospel and Amarachi Amaugos are passionate about empowering singles and married to build successful relationships using different platforms, including their organization, Relationship Builders International Foundation. Gospel is currently a lecturer in health and social care / public health in one of UK universities. He holds a diploma in couples and relationship counseling. You see now, yeah, I don't have diploma in that too. So we need to hear from the experts, from Oxford College, United Kingdom. He has a BSc in microbiology, Abia State University, Nigeria, MSc and PhD in public health from the University of Bedfordshire, United Kingdom. Amarachi is also a senior lecturer in international human resource management and leadership at another university in the United Kingdom. She has a BSc in economics, MBA, Wisconsin University, MA and PhD in human resource management. This PhD, Mr. and Mrs., Doctor and Doctor, we need to hear from them, because with all this plenty book that they are reading, we need to know how love and money is, working, in bringing everything together. They have been married for 13 years and they are blessed with an amazing son. So please welcome with me. Let me see your reactions in the chat group as I bring up to my platform Conversations with Pimo, Gospel and Amarachi. Amaugos! It's so nice to have you guys here, and you are both looking so radiant and beautiful. I like the denim. I like the denim combo. It's looking nice. I'm loving it. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for honoring my invite to be here today. And I've known you guys a little over a year. and I can say that it's really been amazing knowing you guys, honestly, and the consistency, your passion for relationships and marriages that work. It's very commendable. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. I remember the first time I sat at your dining and I was just hearing you guys talk. Pastor Dele was pushing all the questions, and I'm like, gosh, and you guys were just sharing about how you met and everything, and I could see the passion, that you really wanted, and your desire for this younger generation to get it right. You've been married for 13 years, so I'm happy. Yes, you have some measure of experience in that, department, but then we're going to go right into what we have, which is love and money matrix. Now, let me ask Dr. Amarachi, when you saw that title, that theme, what came to your mind? What were you thinking of and preparing for?
I was well. Thank you so much, Pimo, for inviting us, and this is a very, very massive opportunity. We don't take it for granted. Now, when I saw that title, I was like, "What a mix! What a combination!" Because when you think about money, love, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, both of them coming together, and I'm so looking forward to the conversations today. And there are different facets to it, and I'm sure we're going to be looking into it as we go on.
Yes, we would. We would. Thank you. Dr. Gospel, what was your thought when your wife came? Because it was your wife I went to harass on WhatsApp. So when she came and said, Pimo is looking for us on conversations with people to come and talk on love and money, what were you thinking about? What came to your mind?
Well, for me, it was more like a confirmation in terms of what God is doing at this point, because we are planning a men event on the 22nd.
I like that.
And yes, and the topic is money matters and your marriage.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, yes, this is interesting, because when I tell people that money is something that needs to be talked about in terms of marriage, people sometimes take it for granted, because they think, well, marriage is just when you wed your wife or your husband. That's just the starting point.
Right.
Maybe we'll talk more on that, because bills have to be paid.
Yes, so especially when you're in the UK.
Exactly.
Bills have to be paid. Awesome. Okay, so a brief kind of like setting the pace for what we're going to be doing. Can you just, I don't know who wants to go, just give us a brief background story of how you met and how far the journey has been for you as a couple.
Okay, they say ladies first, so
after me.
You go.
Well, like you were reading our profile. One of the things you would have picked up from is that we both went to the same university. So we went to Abia State University, and he happened to be my choral director. Although at the time it wasn't a thing, to be honest. It wasn't a thing. Like you were not in the mix, but yeah, he was my choral director at the time, and in a fellowship, Castle. Yeah, it was Castle Fellowship way back in Abia State University. And I think he was pretty much like a brother, friend. And then, as it is said in the passage of time, as the Bible will say, he made his intention known. And when he did, I think it took me a whole year to say yes to him. Yes, I'm not advising anybody to do that. I had my own reasons for doing that.
Right.
So, yeah, we finally got married in 2009. That was after we had, navigated. And I think our story is sort of very similar to the one you shared about yourself and Pastor Dele PD, when you were talking about humble beginnings. I can still remember that when I came and I told my family that I was going to be getting married to him. The first was, what does he do? Where does he stay? What's his portfolio like? And I was like, this guy is just a beginner. They couldn't understand, because there was a string of suitors. I mean, like, eligible suitors that I should have
eligible.
Yes, I should have said yes to, from their own perspective. So they expected, why this young man? And I can still remember my mom insisting that I wasn't going to get married to him. And I felt I didn't want to marry without parental blessings. I think I left, went for studies for a year so that, you know, it can just resolve itself somehow.
Whoa.
Yeah. And we finally got there. We finally got there because, you know, God sort of intervened, because she was telling us later she got a vision, and that, you know, God telling her she gave her a son and he rejected it. And, you know, long story short, we got married, and I can still remember it was very humble beginnings, I must say. So, but, you know, when we look at where we are coming from and where we are now, I would say that, you know, God has been faithful, and what we see now is not what we actually pictured. We never saw this. We didn't see this good. Let me say, we didn't see this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. Dr. Gospel, do you want to add anything to what she said?
Yeah, I want to add something to that, because we are talking about love and money. Yeah. From my point of view, when I was talking about marriage with her, I wasn't thinking about money as a barrier. Yes, I knew I wasn't ready for, financially, I wasn't there. But I had strong conviction that if we can do life together, we'll make it together. My passion was more about ministry, about what God wants me to do as a person. And I sold it to her. And even though there were people around, I had strong conviction, because they say if God gives you a vision, He'll definitely make the provision. And she bought into that vision. And if we advise people, yes, money is very important, but it might not really be the primary thing you have to look out for, because people can have the money today, have the jobs, the good jobs, have everything, but things can happen that would, you know, overturn everything. So we believed in ourselves. We believed in the relationship. We believed in what God was calling us into. And that strong conviction and faith in God helped us to be where we are today.
Yeah, so that was your foundation. Your foundation was your belief in each other and believe in the God vision.
Yes.
And of which, pursuing that, money came. Because with every vision, there's provision for it. As long as the vision is from God. Okay, so I want to ask you, Dr. Gospel, and I'm going to Gospel. Should I say gospel or gospel?
Anyone can go.
Okay.
Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now I have met, and like I said earlier before you came up, I'm sure you heard me, you know, in my course of counseling people, I've been married. This year will be 18 years of being married, and I've met people, and one of the things that I've seen or heard over time, you know, you find ladies complaining about guys who have these lofty ideas, castles they are building in the air. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they are not landing it, like my husband would say. You know, they are not. Now you are a guy, so you're the one I'm posing this question to.
Yes, I'm happy to answer.
How do we differentiate because I understand, I've been there, like I told you my story. There wasn't money, but there was a vision. But how do you counsel a girl, a lady? How does she differentiate when that vision is substantiated by faith in God and not just someone building castles in the air?
Well, I have to be practical about it. If you say you have a vision, the first question a woman should ask is, what is your game plan? What are you doing about the vision? Now, at the point, she can look at your track record. It might not be magnificent, but look at what you're doing to make a projection in terms of, if I look at this young man in the next 10 years, what would be his story? Because for me, at that point, when I was selling that vision to her, I started doing ministry in school. I started writing a book. I wrote a book, published a book. So she could see that this man is actually doing something about it. So the Bible says, whatever your hands find to do it with all diligence. So if you're making a huge plan, and that plan is always in the idea phase.
Idea stage.
There is no, you know, they tell us in as a lecturer, they tell you to teach students about SMART goals.
Right.
Your goals have to be specific. It has to be measurable.
Right.
It has to be achievable.
Okay.
It has to be realistic, and there should be a time frame to it. So if you say in the next 3 years, this is what I'm going to do, and the woman looks at you, 1 year you've not done anything, 2 years you've not done anything, 3 years you're not doing anything, you're living in the world of ideas. You're being unrealistic, I would say.
Right.
So,
okay. Go ahead.
So what I would say is, a woman, women, you guys have sixth sense.
You said
yes,
so.
because sixth sense. When a man is trying to buy you over with lofty ideas which are not realistic, you would know. Something in you will tell you that this guy is just, they call him whining. Am I right?
Yep.
He's just whining you.
Okay.
So in that sense, you have to tell yourself the truth.
Right.
It's not about the money. It's about, what am I coming into your life to do?
Yep.
Okay.
If you're selling an idea to me and that idea cannot be workable, I can't see it happening, it means you don't have a role in that man's life.
Absolutely.
Because you're coming into that relationship because there is something you think you can contribute. When you're now married, the person is moving the goalpost. So you find women frustrated because they came in with so much energy, so much skills, so much potential, because they want to build build with this man. And once they come in, the man decides to stifle their potentials and tell them, well, you're just a housewife.
Yeah.
It doesn't work well that way. Let me stop so far. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to add something to that, Dr.
Yeah, I think this is where there's a lot of friction in marriages.
Right.
I think one of the things people who are single should always ask, if someone is coming to you and selling all those lofty ideas, okay, fine, perfect. Where am I in the scheme of things? Where do I fit into the scheme of things?
Right.
And maybe this is where you begin to have that sort of conversations practically as to how you do it. Okay, what's the feasibility? Because it's one thing for you to have an idea, and it's a fantastic idea, but it might not be realistic. So I would want to see a plan. Or what's the feasibility of? Have you thought about the workability of this plan? What are you doing? So putting pen to paper, and maybe in the course of doing that, a lot will be you will see through that idea.
Yeah.
The question here is that a lot of us are not patient to ask those difficult questions, because we are overcome by the facade of wanting to be in a love relationship, and we're not asking critical questions, which eventually will become the point of constant conflict later on. Because yes, it's fantastic to have love.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have love. Or whatever it is that people call love.
Butterflies in your tummy.
However, when you get into the relationship, when the chips are down, the bills have to be paid, and this will put a strain on that love.
Yeah.
When you think about it, and statistics have proven that fundamentally, majority of the stress in marriages is down to finances.
True that. Yeah, true.
It's been proven. So you find that a lot of people begin to experience meltdown when the bills are piling up. A lot of people are not asking critical questions. You're getting into a relationship with someone and you don't know what their credit value, their credit rating is. Now, I know it might be challenging because some people don't want to ask those questions, but you don't want to end up with someone who's got baggages.
That's it.
What are you worth? What's your net worth? As a person, as a single person, have you got any debts? Have you got any loans? Students' loan? Do you owe anybody? How much do you owe people?
Those are plenty questions. Right.
But then those things are not asked, and then later on in the relationship, some things begin to happen, and then who would bear the brunt? Not just that person, but the both of you, because now you're married to that person, and you begin to see a lot of things come to the surface.
Right. I agree with you. Can
I add one point, please?
Yes, please.
I also want to say that when we talk about finance, we should also look at it from the point of the woman. One thing I know about my wife before we got married is that she has confidence in her capability to make money.
Okay.
So she wasn't coming with this beggarly attitude of, okay, let me come and see if you will make it so that I will make it. He came with the mindset that, yeah, when I talk, then we used to talk, how do we say, don't worry, we'll work together. Because she believed in herself. That's one of the things I want to put out to any single listening to us. As a woman, you have to believe in yourself, that you're not coming into this relationship without value. Yeah. You're not coming because the man has money. You're coming in because you have so much to offer, which if the man is open to receive the value you're bringing, then you guys are going to work together as a team. Not because he wants to save you and save you from poverty and all of those. Even probably if your background is
knight in shining armor.
Exactly. Even if your background, even if you're from the poorest family in your community, it doesn't mean that that is what defines who you are.
Absolutely.
Because you carry God on the inside as a woman. It means you can as well be the one that would make financial input in the family, I would say.
Right. Awesome. Valid points you both have, mentioned there. And one of the things I picked from what you've said is the importance of partnership. And I think that is also very, very key, speaking to the men, because there's also this general mindset. Probably we are already trying to change the narrative of this, but there's been this narrative about, a woman, a wife is just for procreation. I'm just marrying her to have children for me and take care of the home. My responsibility as the man is to provide. And they limit that provision to money. And that's why you find that there are a lot of absentee fathers. They are not at home. And then when you complain, they are like, I'm stressing and struggling for the money. You get me? So what do you need? By the time a woman is going, oh, honey, let's talk. I think we should. The first question is, how much do you need? And it is an insult to a woman to like, you've not even heard what I'm talking about. When the Bible says, a man that does not provide for his family is worse than an infidel, he's not talking about financial provision alone. There's a lot more you're providing than financial provision. There's emotional provision. There's mental provision. So you're providing an all-round balanced level of covering for that home and that household. You get. So I can hear, talking about partnership, which I think if we find more men and women coming to marriage as partners, it becomes easier to navigate the season of growth, the season where you are trying to build, to lay the foundation and to go through life and go through seasons. But I want to say something, so there's this mindset. We all know Genesis chapter 2. The Bible says that the Lord planted the garden and put the man there, and the man had the work he was doing. He said, keep and tend the garden. And I preached it too. So let me just, own up now. The woman came after everything was set, and she just. So my question, I'm going to ask Dr. Marachi this, that there's that mindset that no, everything has to be set. The man has to have a job, must have a good paying job, must have a house. The house must be furnished. My job is just to stroll in and provide help in terms of having children for you. What is your thought about this, and how do we balance it?
Okay, let me backtrack a little bit to what you were saying before you asked the question around you were saying something about being fruitful and multiply, and you were talking about procreation in terms of children,
right?
And I think marriage couples don't do justice to that. When the Bible speaks about one chasing 1,000 and two chasing 10,000, there is a lot in that. It doesn't speak just to physical procreation,
right?
It speaks to all procreation at every level, every facet.
Exactly.
And when you want to limit a woman to procreating just physically, you're losing out on all the other potential, all the other things that you can tap into. Do you understand the power of two, the power of synergy? A lot of times in relationship, we do not value that mentality in terms of we are coming together to do life on a bigger scale. And you are seeing on a different level, I'm seeing on a different level, and when we combine together, it's called we're synergizing. And I think if men, like African, let me use that word, could recognize the fact that it is beyond physical procreation. What would you say about women who are not able to procreate physically?
Exactly.
Are you now saying that they are not replenishing the earth? They are replenishing the earth in different spaces. Think about career women. Think about women who are leaders in their own rights. They are procreating in that way. They are mentoring young ladies. They are procreating ideas. They are procreating principles. And we need to think about it, because even when we procreate physically, we cannot just procreate a child just to populate hell. You cannot just procreate a child and leave a child in debt. The Bible talks about a good man and woman leaves a good inheritance for their children and their children's children. So if you are just thinking about your financial plan and you're looking at yourself and your husband, I think you're very limited in that mentality. You need to see beyond. It is not about having a job. It's not about, having, what do you call it? I don't know, money, material things. It's beyond that. Because you can have a job, you can have a career, but you're not financially free. And I say to people, it is not you working for someone for life. Think about financial freedom. You cannot be financially free when you are in that space. So you need to think about, how am I going to build multiple streams of income? And maybe I'm even beginning to dip into answering your question, because if as a woman you have that mentality that you're coming into a place that is set and prepared, then why are you a helpmate? What are you then coming to do? And like I said, it is beyond procreation. If you as a woman understand your value of who you are, because that is where it begins with. And then you're coming in to bring and enhance. You're coming in to increase the portfolio of that man. And when someone sees the before and then see the after, there is a huge difference. And that is what we should strive towards. Because God has given us a mandate as women. We are fruitful. Everything that comes into our hands, we multiply. So we shouldn't allow ourselves to be stifled by, what the society, puts on us, and the stereotypes and the different things that, they label on us these days. We should come in with a mandate to be fruitful, with a mandate to birth beyond physical children, to begin to birth ideas, to begin to give, a lift, a jump. I come into Gospel's life and I'm jump starting. He's sort of like seeing a lift in his life. And that is what we should be, because gone are those days where, men marry women to just have children and then go to the farm and then you cook for them. The world is changing. And we as women and, the men as well, we need to move with that trend. Everything is down to kingdom business, kingdom assignment. The money we have is not for me and Gospel. It's beyond us.
Oh, I like that. I love that. I love this point you just made now. And I think that actually now really drums in what you just said about being a kingdom-minded couple. So it's not just about having the Lamborghinis and being able to drive the big Benz and all the what do they call that? That's something Marathi car, and all of that, and live in the mansions and be able to travel in your first class anywhere. Those things are lower level of thinking. And I think one of the things we need to begin to impress in the hearts of this younger generation is that question of, why exactly do you want to get married? Why exactly do you want to marry this person? What is the goal of your marriage? What are you seeking to achieve? I really love the point you made, that it's beyond that immediate need being met. Okay, so your need is being met. Is that all there is to your life? Is that the reason why you showed up on earth? To go to the best school, to send your children to the best school, and then to be able to travel around the world for summer, and then, have small change to throw around and flex around social media. That can't be all there is to life. There's not something called legacy. There's something called, like you said, your procreation is beyond, the children you give birth to. You're talking about something that even after you're gone is still speaking volumes about you. You're leaving a legacy that generations after generation would come and they will be like, oh, because of what these people did, and that money you can't put a price tag on that. Honestly, you cannot put a price tag on that. So you can't limit yourself, to that and say, oh, I need to have all the money, because like we know, sometimes money fails. And so what keeps you going when you go through that season where there isn't money? And I think money is just a means. I think there are deeper currencies than money, which I feel that a lot more people, especially even in marriage, need to begin to understand. There are deeper currencies than money. Money is just paper. It's just a means of transaction. We talk about friendship. We talk about, community. Those things are deeper currencies. You talk about when they say someone's name is worth more than, is not the money. So what name are you leaving for your children and those coming after you? And I think that is really huge. And I think that is the conversations we should begin to have, not this lower end of, he must be able to dash me money, he must be able to, and all of that. I want to ask, and I think I want to ask Dr. Gospel this, that how do we begin to change the narrative about how women are seen as money? How do I describe it now? So
lovers of money.
Yes, like if you want to woo a girl, just give her money. There's this social media TikTok that is trending now. It's funny, honestly. I've watched several, I've laughed about it. I think I've even posted one, I can't even remember, on Babes Redefined, where, how I welcome my husband when he comes and then they are spraying you the money. I think that in as much as it seems, harmless, but I think we are creating some sort of narrative that limits women and puts them in a box whereby our lives are defined by money. How much money you can use to spoil me. What would you want to say about that? How can we, and I'm asking you because you are the guy, how can we begin? It's just like, also having this mindset, and some women also push that narrative of, your sexy look is what you are, is who you are. How do we begin to change this narrative? Because like Dr. Marachi said, there's a lot more to you than that as a woman. So I want to hear from you, Dr. Gospel.
I think is actually a huge issue because I've had a series of conversations with men on this issue. Because one, a lot of men see women as inferior. Not necessarily, because when they look at the issue around headship, they see that not just within the family, but a man is superior to a woman. And you see that in our cultural setting in Africa and all of this. Yeah. And when you try to tell them that there is more to a woman than what we see, the physical, because obviously what differentiates a man from a woman is our physical self. Our spirit man is the same. Yeah. And I'd say to women that when you go to heaven as a believer, God is not going to ask you, what did you do because you're a woman? He's going to ask you, what did you do as a person?
Right.
Your sex or your gender doesn't really change anything because God sees everyone as one. But for us to change this, just the way you're doing, we have to keep engaging. We have to keep having this conversation. As mothers, you guys have a huge responsibility in this area to begin to renew the minds, help the young boys and girls to have a different mindset. Because what we see in the media, in the social media, when you look at those celebrities and how they live their life, those could influence our mindset about life.
Yes.
Such that we are now living based on the means as the end.
Yeah, very true.
Marriage is not the end. Marriage is the means to an end.
That's it.
If you don't have your end, if you don't understand the end, that's why you come into marriage, you think it's the end. You're wondering, why are we here? You just like you pointed out, you've done everything, you have everything. Now what next?
What next?
In every man there is that desire to be fulfilled, there is that desire to do more. And once you don't have what next to do, you begin to feel frustrated.
That's right.
You begin to have a sense of restlessness because God has created you with a capacity to do more. Right. It's not even about a man. Even a woman feels that need to do more. And when a man is married to a woman and you keep her, stifle her, you don't allow her to express her authenticity and her self potential and the things God had given to her, she has this sense of frustration because there is more to her she wants to express. She can't express it. It's not just about having babies and taking care of the home. She wants to do more. And that's why, for me, I find it difficult when a man says to a woman, stay at home, I'll provide for you. Having a job, having a business is not just about money. It's about finding expression in the capacity you have.
Yes.
So when we look at it that way, you see that we have to have a way to change the narrative. Maybe religious organizations should also do more in this aspect to empower women to move away from that mentality that you need a man to become who God has called you to be. No, you only come into a man's life because you know that marriage is an end. Two of you are coming together because you have an end in mind to reach your end. That's what God said to Adam. Dominate, have dominion, replenish the earth, be fruitful, both of them. And Adam couldn't have done it alone. He couldn't have had children without the woman. You know? So for me, I think we have to keep having this conversation. We have to also sensitize, start when they are young, because if we leave them, the set of people we are bringing up these days, you will be surprised that it will take, I don't know, before anyone accepts another person in another person's hand in marriage, they will now want to do a kind of financial assessment. to know, yes. You see. It's a trend now. Yes, it's a trend.
There's a pre-nuptial.
Do all the assessment to be sure that at the end of the day, even if I walk away, what am I living with?
What am I living with?
Which is not the right thing. So,
and I think that already builds a measure of distrust.
Exactly.
Definitely.
The marriage is already being laid on a foundation of distrust, you know, and also because it's so materialistic, you know, in its approach and wanting to just, you know, and I think it's a faulty foundation, like you rightly said. And I don't think that, you know, as believers, we should encourage that, you know. But I want to put a twist to this now.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to ask, you know, Dr. Amarachi this question, that when we talk about money and love and money in marriage, so my question now is, what would you say to when you have a woman who earns or is graced to earn more? Because there are some women who just have that grace. It's not about, you know, Dr. Gospel says something about, you know, the women should be more confident, should believe in themselves. Now, women are actually becoming more confident and believing in themselves. And the other conversation we're having now is that men are feeling threatened and men are feeling like, you want to be the head of the home. You get, so at what point do we balance this? Because truly there are women that are graced to be politicians. There are women that are graced to be business women, and there's nothing you want to do about it. They will make more money than the husband. So does that mean they are the head? No. These things happen in marriages. I've seen it happen. And then you find a case where sometimes the men become withdrawn and then they feel intimidated. How do you navigate that? Because we can't say, is there a rule that says, I know I've asked so many things now actually, but the Holy Spirit will give you wisdom on how to answer my question. But we can't say that it is wrong for a woman to earn more than a man. In some cultures in Africa is a taboo, I know, but we're not even talking about that. We're talking within the Christian context. Is it really wrong? If a woman earns more than a man, does that mean she's sinning? And then for some who do that, you now find the men lording it over her and say, you must submit everything. I must define and determine what goes out and what goes in, so that they still have that measure of control. What would you want to say about this?
To be honest, if I want to answer that question so simply, there's nothing wrong. It's an advantage. I think some of the challenges around who is any more, who is any less, is down to the fact that we haven't quite come to understand what marriage is. We are still coming into the marriage with the ideology that I am different from him.
Right.
My money is my money. His money is his money.
Yes.
Or his money is our money.
Hey,
money is our money.
His money cannot be his money. It's our money.
So we haven't come to a point where we have surrendered that mindset to the that's why I talk about kingdom marriage. You see, if you want to do kingdom marriage, it's not normal. So if I'm earning
you've actually earned more than
me. I wanted to ask if it was okay for me to share that.
That's fine.
You can say something to that if you want to.
Can I come in now?
You can.
Yes, please. Yes, okay, please. Then the doctor will come back and.
What I wanted to say is that my wife has earned more than me. I was a student. She was working.
Wow.
So she was helping to pay my school fees.
Oh, wow.
So you can understand
that. Wow.
Obviously, because when you live in an environment where as a student you're limited in the number of hours you can do, and your wife is doing full time, obviously she has more than you. And there is no shame in that. The problem is that most men have a sense of insecurity because there is this power play that has to happen in terms of money. He who has more money controls what goes on, how it is spent. You know, they say he who pays the piper dictates the tone. So the man will feel a sense of insecurity because he feels, if I don't have the money, then I can't control her. But it's not the truth. Leadership is not about you having more money. It's not how you show leadership. You show leadership by providing direction to the family.
That's it.
By being a servant leader. Jesus was a servant when he was on earth. In fact, he was the one that cooked food for the disciples. And asked them to come and eat fish. If you remember the story. So for me, in that sense, it wasn't a thing of shame because we see marriage as one. Even now, that's how we approach it. Everything I have belongs to her. Everything has belongs to me.
Wow.
As long as there is intimacy. How do we talk about intimacy when it has to do with physical aspect of relationship? You want to make love to your wife. You know you're one in that aspect. You know you're one when it comes to every other thing, but when it comes
to money,
you're not one. Over to you.
Yeah. And I think it's important, but let me also bring the balance to it, because sometimes when we share things like this, I always say that I don't want to use our own, because everybody's on a journey, right? And you may not have married the kind of man I got married to, right? And it is really, really important for people to understand the mindset of their spouse. And it has to do with money. It's really, really important, because until people understand the mindset, they would constantly have conflict over finances. And it is really, I want to mention that because, of course, we've spoken to the first question around there's nothing wrong with it. It's about oneness. But let me just address this issue of mindset, because I think it's fundamental. There are a lot of people who, especially when you look at personality types, there are people that are considered more spenders, right? So whatever happens, we have to spend it. They are constantly buying what is on trend, what is the new phones, the new whatever. They are out there, they are buying it. It doesn't matter how much it costs, they will do it. You know, when you talk about keeping up with the Joneses, right? These guys are the Joneses.
Yes.
They are the people who set the pace, then others will follow.
Yeah.
Now, if you're married to that kind of person, right? And for example, you are more of a saver. And these people are people who would save. You have to explain why you spent £1 extra from the shopping. Why is £1 different from the shopping you did last week? These guys are people who want to be secure in terms of their finances. Now, they like structure. They like to predict what happens. Now, imagine that a spender and a saver. They come together. That already is a potential avenue for conflict in marriage. So you really need to understand, who is this person? And of course, there are people, like I was saying earlier, there are people that are the shoppers. And you know, sometimes women tend to be, you know, they put us in this category that we like to shop. You know, they see everything, they want to buy, you know, they're constantly surfing the internet and all that. Now, if you have that kind of person, you also need to understand that how you deal with money matters with this individual is okay. It's something that you need to address. So you need to understand the different mindset. And of course, you have those who are debtors. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. They can even take credit cards. They keep spending. They keep buying. And I think there's another category, the investors. These are the ones that always see a business prospect. They always see an opportunity. And they never want to. So I think it is really important fundamentally to address this. You know, because if you do not understand your spouse's mindset about money, you will constantly clash about it.
That's it.
Can I add something to the first question? Because the balance there again is that if a woman earns more than a man, there is also the possibility that she may unconsciously play the power game, because she thinks, because I provide, I call the shots, I decide what happens in the home, and it doesn't really matter. And this can create a situation where the man wants to show a sense of authority. He wants to prove that he's the man, and he may want to make sometimes a demand that if you earn your salary,
you
submit it to me. I've heard people say that, and it doesn't make sense to me that she does the work and she submits to you. It might make sense to you depending on how you approach things, but as a woman, if you have that mindset that what you have is for both of you, I know that this may not sound well for some women who believe his money is our money. My money is my money. Do whatever I like with it. And some men also emphasize that her money is her money. I don't want to look into what she does with her money, because they pride themselves as the providers in the home, even though they are shocked, changing or cutting. They're not helping themselves, I would say. If you have that mindset that it's just the two of you and you're doing it together, then you would achieve more. You will respect him, not because of his state at the moment. And then you want to add more to it?
Go on.
And then as a man, you also have to show support. If your wife is earning more than you, there are areas you can also show leadership. You can take more responsibilities. Don't be the spender like she talked about, where she makes more, you spend more. You're extravagant. Before the money comes in, you've spent everything. Nobody will be happy with that, even as a man. Where you make the money, you give it to your wife. By the time you're back, everything is all gone. It's not going to be fruitful for you as a family.
And let me just add one more thing.
Yes, please.
And it's down to the kingdom marriage mindsets. I just want to say this because a lot of times the last place that or the last aspect of our life that as believers we tend to submit is in the place of finances. We can submit to God in other areas. But you see, the money bit is the bit that is like the big elephant in the room. And if we can understand that money is just a tool, is a medium of exchange. It is not big enough to destroy your relationship.
Yes, it shouldn't.
And like you said, there are higher currencies. People don't even tap into the value of network.
Yeah.
Because there is something that just being a part of a network can do for you that money
will not.
The whole money in the world will not do for you.
That's it. Yeah.
And if we can understand money this way, how our attitude towards money and how we wield it to our advantage will be different. Because money should not control any marriage. Money should not have a hold over anybody.
Right.
Because then that is where the spirit of mammon comes in.
Yes.
And I think it's really important that we state this, because a lot of marital conflict, a lot of marital problem is still down to money.
The issue of money.
And that's because we haven't quite come to
see money for what it is.
Die in the flesh to money. Money is still holding us active.
It is a spirit. You know, in my little knowledge of, understanding of God's word, mammon is one of the things that God said, love God or mammon, whereby he almost put side by side, whereby God is saying, are you going to choose me or you're going to choose money? I mean, he didn't equate anything to himself, but he said mammon is money. Like, would you, if God could come to that point, that means he understands how much money can be, how spiritual money can be. And I think we need to understand that money can be a spirit. It's spiritual. And until you deliver yourself, like they say, you don't work for money. You allow money work for you. You don't be a slave to money. Money is given to you to use. And I'm happy that we've established it, that there are other currencies in life. Like you said, your net worth can answer so many other things other than, having money and cash at hand and money in the bank, as good as those things are. Now, I'm going to ask this question, and I just want you to give me a straight answer and possibly give me, scenarios of how that has happened within your marriage. Does money make it easier to love? Having money. You are both going to answer. Do you think it makes it easier to experience love in marriage?
In this world?
Yes.
In this world that we are?
Yes.
Money enhances marriage.
Okay.
Money enhances. I must say that because a lot of things, you're on this live show. Is it a love that did it? Is it spirits that did it? It's not money. Money did it for you, isn't it? There are so many. The quality of our relationship could be enhanced by money, and that's why they said a lot of stress, based on that research, that a lot of stress and pressure in marital relationship is down to financial. It's got its root in money. So I would say that money is a means, and it would definitely enhance the quality of your marriage.
That's it.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not disputing that. Money gives us more options. It gives us opportunities to express our love, because obviously, if you want to buy a gift to your spouse, you have to spend money to do it. From our own point of view, I would say to you that we've had times when money was an issue, not in terms of creating conflict, but a barrier to what we wanted to achieve.
Wanted to do. Right.
Even in the ministry we talked about, there was a level we couldn't operate at that time because we didn't have the resources to do that. And even living the kind of life you want to, not like you're going to be extravagant or live a superficial life, but money helps you to solve certain problems. Security, as a husband, you want to provide for your family. Sometimes people work too hard because they are looking for money and they don't have time to enjoy love. So if you give them all the money they need, they will be there, they will be present to enjoy the marital relationship. Some people just finish wedding. After the wedding, they're back to work. They're just fighting to have money. But then this is why you're having this conversation. There is a way a family can approach things, work together as a unit, and have a plan. Have a plan in terms of how long are we going to work towards becoming financially free? Because so many people are not financially free. They work 9 to 5 every day. They don't have, in fact, in the UK that we live, you will be surprised. So many families don't stay together. The man is coming back from work in the morning. The woman is
going.
When she's coming back,
wow,
he's going.
Wow.
So it's just like that, and they don't even have time to stay with
time to exactly.
So you
but
can
to enjoy themselves.
Exactly. So you can see how money can be a barrier.
Right.
Lack of money, I would say.
Yeah.
And some people want to go on holiday, chill, enjoy life, but they can't do it because they don't have money. But if a family is together,
right,
if the foundation of love is strong,
yeah,
the problem of money would not divide them.
Right.
The only thing is life could be tough, but there are seasons.
Yes.
For someone in that season where you don't have the money you need to do certain things, don't be frustrated with your spouse because she might not be, he or she is not the reason things are tough. Things are tough everywhere. So look at it that this is your season to work together and circumvent life challenge. You'll be surprised. You'll get to that point where money becomes, will I say, insignificant in terms of how it could impact on the quality of your
of your marriage. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys have really touched on some punchlines, some things that I'm even probably going to just settle down with again to just think over. And I love that we're looking at it holistically, in a holistic manner, whereby we're talking kingdom marriage. We're not just talking about just marriage, and I think it's really important that we blow this trumpet because of the season, the time, the generation we found ourselves in, where there are so many distractions. So you find someone wants a big huge wedding because she saw it on Bella Niger or she saw it on Instagram, and she's like, no, that is the kind of wedding that I want, and I want it to be that elaborate. And then you find them borrowing money, and then the guy would say, because I love her, I'm gonna go all out, even if it means me borrowing money just to make her happy, So I think having our understanding rooted in the Word of God before we even comment on this journey called marriage is very crucial, in determining how far we go. There was something else you said, which I just want to highlight, and then I'll ask my last question, and then, we can just, call it a day. And that is the fact that life is in phases. And I think you guys have said that in different forms today in this conversation, that at every point in time, you're going through a phase. There will be that season where you are building. There will be that season. So it's important that you're not living comparing your life with somebody else. Somebody else is already at phase 3 of their life. You are just at phase 1, and you are looking at the person that is at phase 3, and you're wondering, I want the thing this person wants at phase 3. And God is saying, no, you are just at phase 1. And I think having that agreement is so powerful. When you have that agreement as a couple, it makes it easier to build. And then those things that you really want, the things you want money for. Yes, I agree with you. Money enhances love. Of course it does. If you have money, you will check into a hotel over the weekend and have a great time. If you have money, you will get a chef to be cooking for you in your house, and you're not all sweaty. If your husband is calling you for whatever in the night, you are ready because food has been sorted. You're not the one thinking of what you are going to cook in the night. So yes, money would enhance love, but money shouldn't be the determinant. It shouldn't now define such that, like Paul said, I know how to abound, I know how to abase, I know how to go through situations and different phases at different points in time. And that is so crucial. And that is my own, word to this young generation, that if you can just walk in agreement, walk in alignment. Number one, understanding this spouse that God has given to you. Understanding what role this person has come to play in your life, both the man and the woman, understanding that you're working in partnership, understanding that you have to agree, because the Bible says when two of you agree on anything, nothing is impossible with you. As in, once you can come to an agreement, whatever it is, whatever heights you want to get to, it becomes easier to get it. And Dr. Marachi quoted a scripture that I love so much, that one will chase 1,000, but two will chase 10,000. So there's power in the number two. There's power in that agreement that comes. You when you come together in marriage, you are super force, and that's why we need to avoid anything. I wish we had time to talk on that, because that's another thing that also affects marriage, which is external third parties, and other people just putting in their own idea, a mother insisting that your husband must do this because that's what your father did to her, and all of that, and questioning why, or maybe the mother-in-law comes, and then the mother-in-law of the husband, and then the mother-in-law, that's the mother of the husband, you have all these things during Amaugos when they come to take care of babies, and then the next thing they say, why are you giving my son one piece of meat? Meanwhile, you are the one that understands how you are managing what you have, because you have that agreement between the two of you, and you already know that you've planned out certain things. Eating one meat is not going to kill you. In fact, it's good that you don't even eat meat, sir, because red meat is not good. So why are you eating meat? But I'm just saying that let's understand that life is in phases. When you go through the rough time, the tough time together, when you get to that point where you now begin to enjoy, certain things, you're going to be enjoying it together. You're going to be enjoying it together. My pastor always says it, Pastor Tunde Bakare. He knows how it was that his wife was the one sewing his socks in those days. He will sew his socks. He will sew his torn shirts and trousers so that, he could look fine. He was a lawyer. He could look all of that. So on their 35th, was it their 35th wedding anniversary? He said, tell me wherever you want to go in the world. I am going to foot the bill. And she said, I want to go to Australia. I said, we're going there. And I'm telling you, he put her in the one that is above first class. I don't know what they call it, but it's above first class, and I think it's Etihad airline. And I'm telling you, he had his own space. She had her own butler. She had her own, as in this kind of like treatment. You could have a spa on the plane. There was a time they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But today, she will tell you that whatever she's enjoying today is because of the sacrifices we've made in the past, that this man has made, and we're enjoying it together today. So I think understanding that and being ready to go through that phase would also help you. But I want to ask this. So there are people who actually, women now, who actually have believed in this man, rightfully has a vision, rightfully, they've come in partnership with this man. But we're talking 5 years, 10 years, and it just seems like everything is still stagnant. And the man is frustrated, and the woman is hyper frustrated. Bottom line is the issue of money. I've had cases like that. What do we say? What counsel can you give such a person that has found herself, and sometimes they are at the brink of giving up and saying, I'm done with this, because even what she's trying to put in and pull in is not even enough?
Yeah, I think we've also had cases like these, because cases where it's only God, that the grace of God and them knowing God, that is keeping the relationship, because we've established the fact that money issues can create conflict. I think they need to have a kind of open conversation to understand
the root cause,
how they got to where they are, because issues around money is not something that happens by default.
Yeah.
Put your hands.
That's where I'm coming to. Right.
If you just stay as you are, not doing anything to change your circumstance, or you're doing the same thing you've done over and over, you still have the same result. I tell people that being a Christian does not guarantee you wealth.
Yeah.
Being a Christian gives you an advantage Because the Holy Spirit can give you ideas on what to do.
Yes.
But if you don't know what to do, the Bible says the Holy Spirit will remind you.
Right.
Of the things you know. So you might need to go and learn. Sometimes people don't have money because they have their eyes fixed on a particular level of life, level of job. If it's not that job, they're not doing it. So you're struggling because you're not humble enough to look at what can I do with what I have and where I am now. So I think that's one of the problems. And if you leave all the burden on your wife, because I've seen men do that, because she's very supportive, she's helping, you want her to die for the family. That's not fair. As a man, you need to make the effort. If that dream is not happening, change the dream. Because God cannot give a dream that cannot work.
Preach. I'm loving what you're preaching, Pastor. I will name you a pastor today.
Maybe that dream may not be for now. Keep it for now.
Right.
Find something to solve the immediate problem. When you're there, you can go back and get the dream back. That's just what I can say.
What you said, Dr. Amarachi, you're still going to speak on that. But just to chip to what you said, Dr. Gospel, there's always a seed form of whatever vision God has given you. So yes, he said to Joseph, you're going to be prime minister. But he didn't start out as a prime minister. No, for God's sake, he was sold as a slave. He worked in Potiphar's house. He worked in the prison before he walked his way to the prime minister's house. If anyone saw in Potiphar's house and he was telling them that I'm going to be the prime minister, they're going to laugh at him and like, are you for real? But no matter where you're going, I'm just trying to say that there's always a seed form of that big vision. Find the seed form. Be humble enough, because if not that Joseph was humble enough in prison, the butler and the baker would not have told them his dream, and they would not have found that opportunity for the butler to mention him to Pharaoh, which now opened him to the main dream that was given to him at age 17.
Exactly.
But you being faithful in little, you would automatically be faithful in much. So I think it is important. Another thing that you said that really hit me, that I said that I've ordained you as a pastor, so I'm going to be calling pastor now, is that I think we also need to understand that when it comes to financial prosperity and literacy, it is not overly spiritual. Let's not over spiritualize it. Yes, there's a place of prayer, but there's a place of instruction. There's a place of knowledge. There's a place of understanding. There's a place of saying, what should I do? The guy that God gave talents to, he said, do business with it. He didn't say, go and pray about it. He didn't say, go and take it to prayer mountain and be praying. He said, go and do business with it. And the one that came back with, that he gave 5 and he multiplied it, he took the one from 1 and gave it to the one that had 5. So usually for me, and I'm going to hear what Dr. Amarachi has to say, when people are in that stagnant position for years, it's not God. God is not unfaithful. When God gave Abraham a promise and he said to him, you're going to be the father of nations, before he became the father of nations, which started by him having 1 child, he became several other things. He became an intercessor. He became a warrior. He became this. He became a man that had authority before the fulfillment, as it were, of that promise. So you can't say that your waiting season is a passive season. It's not a passive season. It's an active season where you are becoming things that will propel you to where you're going. So if you are experiencing that stagnation, I think it's time for you to sit down and check your books again and ask yourself honest questions. What are we doing that we're not doing right? Do we need to sit with a financial advisor? Do we need to, these things, don't over spiritualize it and say the grace of God, and year in, year out, month in, month out, you're going to camps, you're going for programs, deliverance, and it just seems like your problem still remains the same. And you feel like money keeps running away from you. No, it's because you haven't provided, yourself with the right knowledge to be able to, land that well. Let me hear from Dr. Amara.
I think I'll just kind of piggyback from what you were saying, because I was just about to say that the first place to start with is to do a financial audit.
Yes.
Things don't happen by default, like what Gospel was saying earlier. Know your self-worth. Know your net worth as a couple. Because a lot of couples are accumulating liabilities rather than assets. And they're constantly overspending.
Yes.
So you find yourself in the same position year in, year out. And this tends to happen sometimes when people start to earn and they're earning a certain income and they earn higher. The Pakistan law will now kick in, because they're now earning higher, the expenses will now go up.
Yes.
And a lot of times you find that, okay, they are making the money, but they are not seeing the dividends of what it is there. And do you have a plan? I know you alluded to it earlier when you talked about, having a plan in terms of how you want to exit. What is your financial goal? What is your financial plan as a couple? Where do you see yourselves in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Charting a course. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Where do you want to see your children educated?
Right.
These are questions, critical questions. And how much do you need to make it happen? If you haven't asked yourself those critical questions, how are you then going to accumulate it?
That's it.
It's not just going to happen. It's not just going to happen in obscurity. You have to be intentional. You have to be involved. And if you're, for example, you're on a job that you're not earning at that level, what are you doing towards upskilling yourself to get certain kind of job?
That's it.
And it is really important, very practical. So it will surprise you that a lot of families don't have a budget.
Yeah.
They just spend. They are just frivolous in terms of spending. What is your family budget for a month? What is it like? Because that is the only way you can assess where you are going. That's your track record.
That's it.
That's writing the vision and making it plain. You have to have that track record. You don't have a budget. How then do you know what you're spending?
Exactly.
How then do you know what you're earning? It's really important, because we have to get into that point of making a plan for ourselves and being accountable to each other. Because there are instances where people have money, but they are spending it. They don't even let the other person know what the other person is like. And they are making all those payments to other family members, and the other person is not aware. Are we accountable to each other?
Yeah.
And apart from that, are we accountable to the Holy Spirit, to God? Because money is a resource that God has given to us.
That's it.
And we are stewards.
Yes.
The question is, how are you stewarding?
That's
the resources that God has given to you. If we look at it from, and my husband might not be aware of what I'm doing with the money, but that doesn't mean that God does not see what I'm doing with my money, because it is a resource that God has given to me, and he's counting on me to steward it right.
Right.
It shouldn't take a hold of me. It shouldn't master me. So if I haven't come to the point where I'm stewarding it in the right way, then it's a problem. I think I'll just stop. Hence.
That's right. Wow, that's right. Wow. Thank you guys so much. I mean, it's been so loaded, and I really love how we are ending it, talking about finances and understanding that there are deeper truths to this. When you see people moving, I think I had a pastor, I can't remember who, I'm not sure if it was Bishop Oyedepo, I can't remember, where he said that your progress should be measurable. We should be able to sit down and say, this was where I was, this is where I am now. As a child of God, it should be measurable. We should be able to see, that's the evidence that God is actually with you. And I usually say God is not spooky. God is not a money doubler. No, he's not. He's not a, oh yeah, bring your 5,000, who blow on it, and then it will become 1 million. No, he's not a money doubler. He's not a magician. He's a miracle worker. When he multiplied the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, somebody sacrificed his 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He didn't make that bread from nothing. There was something, someone offered something, and it's important that we just know that. And of course, when we now have that understanding, and we understand the place of love, and the love we're talking about here is beyond the feeling kind of love. We're talking about the love that is rooted in Christ. When you understand both, I tell you, your marriage will be dynamic. Your marriage will, you'll be flying in the air, because now you understand the love we're talking about here is not about feelings. It's about the love that is rooted in Christ, the First Corinthians 13 defined kind of love, where God himself is love. And then you now have this understanding about what money is, its purpose, its important, and how to get it. When you work together in partnership in marriage, it makes it easier. And then you just find out that so many things people are talking about and complaining about, you are just, is really like news to you. Like, oh really, people go through that? Like, seriously, you people argue over that? And that is where we want to get to, where marriages are more mature. I think we need more mature marriages, like you said, kingdom marriages that have the right mindset, and then we now begin to propagate this gospel of kingdom marriage everywhere that we go. I would like you guys to just share, in 1 minute, maybe there was something you wanted to say, you didn't get to say about this topic, or in summary, what is in your heart that you'd like your audience to hear.
Okay, should I? Yeah. Okay, let me say something that I think is impressive. So, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. If you want to be financially free now, what is the picture you have of yourself 20 at age 80 or age 70 or age whatever it is? What picture of retirement do you want to have? Because until people get that picture, that image, they would not start walking backwards.
Right.
And understanding the importance of stewarding money right. Because it is a resource, but also it is finite.
Yeah.
It is limited.
Yeah.
And there are seasons. And God will bring you to a season where it is bountiful.
Yes.
What then do you do when God gives you that resource in that season? In order to store, think about Joseph in Egypt. In order to store for the season of scarcity.
That's right.
So it is really important that if we look at where we see our end, that would help us in making decisions or putting decisions in place towards that glorious end.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just want to talk to anyone, any couple out there. At the point you're really struggling because of your finances. Excuse me. And it's creating a point of conflict between you and your spouse. In fact, what is keeping you in the marriage is the faith you have in God. I want to let you know that if it is the lowest level of finances, I think we've been there. Got married by faith. We got married trusting God. And we didn't fold our hands, yes, but we trusted God. And I want to assure you, it might be a phase for you. You're doing the right thing. If there is a word that God has given to you, you keep that word, you keep to it, and you keep believing it and working on that word. This season will pass. We always say to our audience that tough times never last.
No, they don't.
Tough couples do. Yeah, don't let this temporary season break what the love that you guys found enjoyed over the years.
Absolutely.
Keep at it. Love conquers all. So financial challenge is not big enough to destroy if you let it help you conquer the season you are in.
Wow. Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been very educative and impactful as well. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge. Thank you for being vulnerable enough also to share your personal stories and experiences. I believe that went a long way, with our listeners. And I believe I'm going to be having you back again soon, hopefully. Maybe not on Love and Money, but I believe that I would be having you back sometime soon. Thank you so much. God bless you and have a wonderful evening. It was so wonderful having this chat with you.
Thank you so much for having us as well.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Awesome. I mean, that was really a session. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I loved the perspective. I loved the fact that, they were very thorough and vulnerable and honest and down to earth. And I loved how we capped it on this issue of financial literacy. It's important because this money thing is a big deal and we really need to get it and get it right. I mean, even Jesus, had a ministry. Yes, he wasn't married, but he had a ministry. He had 12 able-bodied men. How did he manage it? How did he manage his finance? How did he go through ministry for 3.5 years and we didn't hear that he was owing someone or they were in debt afterwards? So money is a tool. One of the things I'm taking away, money is a tool. We shouldn't allow it define us. If we can get a hold of money and use it well with the wisdom God has given to us, it will work to our advantage, and God will help us. Thank you so much for joining us. I really did enjoy it, and thank you for your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next week I'm having another amazing set of couples, amazing couple, one couple with me next week, and we're still on this love and money. It's just always good to glean from different perspectives, but to just widen our knowledge with respect to that and be guided. My heart goes out to as many marriages that are going through tough financial, challenges. I'm praying that the comfort of the Holy Spirit would minister to you, would give you a way out, would grant you peace in your heart, will ease the hurt and the burden, will take away the bitterness and the resentment, and will fill it with love and joy in Jesus' name. Thank you for joining me. God bless you. As always, I'll see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful Easter holiday. Jesus remains the reason for the season. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.